The room felt colder than usual, the kind of chill that doesn't come from the air, but from something far deeper. I sat on the far end of the marriage counselor's couch, hands folded tightly in my lap, eyes locked on the muted pattern of the rug beneath my feet. Across from me, Clara sat upright, legs crossed like a barrier between us. Her posture was polished, composed, but the tension around her mouth betrayed the storm inside. Dr. Lena, our counselor, a calm, middle-aged woman with tired eyes and a voice like softened steel, glanced between us, her pen tapping gently against her notepad. "He should be a real man and fight for me," Clara said suddenly, her voice cutting to the quiet like a blade. It echoed too loudly in the still space, her words hanging in the air like smoke, sharp, stinging, impossible to ignore. I didn't flinch, didn't offend myself, just stared at the floor, letting the silence stretch. This wasn't our first session. We'd been coming here for 6 weeks. Clara said she wanted to save the marriage, claimed she still believed in us. But the way she spoke, like love was a contest, a prize to be won through aggression, made me feel like I'd already lost. Dr. Lena tilted her head and asked gently, "What does fight for you look like, Clara?" Clara let out a sigh, frustration flaring in her expression. "I want him to show me he cares, that he's willing to do anything, anything, to keep me. Not just sit there like he's already given up." I wanted to respond. I wanted to scream that I've been fighting for her for years, quietly, without applause, working overtime to cover bills, planning dinners she never noticed, swallowing my hurt every time she rolled her eyes at my efforts. But I didn't speak. I just remembered the early days, when burnt toast made us laugh, when we danced barefoot in the living room to music only we could hear. Somewhere along the way, the warmth between us had cooled. I was no longer her partner. I was her letdown. Then she turned to me. "Do you even want this marriage to work?" Dr. Lena's gaze settled on me, calm but expectant. I gave a small nod, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, but not like this." It wasn't the answer Clara wanted. Her jaw tensed, and she looked away sharply. Even in her silence, I could feel the accusation. Coward. Weak. Emotionally absent. It wasn't new. It was a tone she used at home. The disdain in her eyes when I tried to open up. I wasn't perfect. Far from it. I worked too late. I bottled my feelings. I avoided confrontation, like it might explode in my hands. But I loved her. I truly did. I just didn't know how to be the kind of man she insisted I should be. When the session ended, I offered to drive her home. She declined, her voice flat, called an Uber instead. I drove alone. And strangely, the silence in the car was more comforting than any conversation we'd had in months. That night, I cooked dinner. Thursday was my night, as always. Her plate sat untouched. She came to eat long after I'd gone to bed. It had become our rhythm. Two polite strangers under one roof, tiptoeing around a storm neither of us wanted to name. Her words stayed with me. Real man star. Was being a real man about yelling louder, demanding attention, filling the room with dominance and rage? Because that wasn't me. I didn't scream to be heard. I showed love in quieter ways, in patience, in consistency, in not walking away even when everything inside me told me to run. But maybe my silence didn't look like strength to her. Maybe it looked like surrender. At our next counseling session, I said something I hadn't planned to. I don't think we're trying to fix our marriage. I think we're trying to change each other into people we're not. Clara's eyes widened, stunned. Even Dr. Lena paused, her pen hovering midair. "I want to be better," I continued, "but not at the cost of losing myself." Clara blinked rapidly. For once, there was no rebuttal waiting on her tongue. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't hostile. It felt like truth had finally stepped into the room. In the weeks that followed, our conversations grew more honest. Not always kind, not always easy, but honest. Clara admitted she felt alone, invisible next to my quiet. I admitted that her constant criticism made me feel like a failure. Maybe love wasn't about battles. Maybe it wasn't about who fought harder or shouted louder. Maybe love was about listening, understanding, letting each other breathe. We're still in counseling. I don't know what will become of our marriage, but I do know this. I don't have to raise my voice to be a real man, and I'm done staying silent about what I need.